Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Wednesday, October 1st. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Minnesota game in 3 days, the game against Michigan in 59 days. If you are planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. Ohio State getting ready to take on those Minnesota Golden Gophers Saturday night in the Horseshoe, 7:30 kickoff. WNBC televising the game. Joined by Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeHuddle.com. We just got a chance to talk to Ryan Day about the game, about the Gophers, about a former Gopher on the Buckeyes team, a whole bunch of stuff. I think we got to start though with what I think a lot of people have been talking about, which is the red zone and what's going on with the offense, and is it a problem? And it feels like there's not exactly one answer for it. It's not just like, well, you just fix this one thing and then everything's great.
Yeah, Tom, the good news is it's a bunch of different problems. So negative plays, penalties, but I think what we most focus on is getting stopped on the fourth down.
Mm-hmm.
Like that needs to stop. But like overall, these are all fixable issues. It would be one thing is if when the solution is, I don't know, maybe we'll try the running quarterback. That's a problem, and I don't think they're to that point yet. It's when you're committing a penalty and it's 3rd and 16 or 3rd and 18. They got one with Jeremiah Smith, didn't quite get one with Julian Sayin scrambling to get to a good field goal range. Bo Jackson coming up just short on one of his long runs on a 3rd and 17 or whatever. So it's mainly just, hey, stay a little bit ahead of schedule. That way you're not as predictable in what you're trying to do down there as well. And then also, just, don't commit penalties and just execute.
And one of the penalties that happened, this was not a red zone penalty, but one of the penalties that did happen on Saturday was Phillip Daniels. He had a hands to the face penalty where if the opponent's helmet flies off, it makes it real easy to tell that you committed a hands to the face penalty. And that is, it feels like it's almost a little bit the price of admission for Phillip Daniels, because what do they love about him? His aggressiveness, but also maybe not too much. Like, what if it was like a 7.5 instead of a 9? This is a big week for him because he is going to be facing his former team, because he came to Ohio State obviously this spring from the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Yeah, and Tom, you mentioned the price of admission. You remember the ECW back in the 90s?
I do.
If you'd go to the game or go to the match, you go to the event, just understand that you're probably going to have like beer thrown on you, or you're going to get into the fray. That's not that Phillip Daniels is going to be throwing any beer on you.
Is he going to have a light tube match with someone this weekend?
There may be some razor wire and things of that nature. Watch out for the 2x4s. But Ryan Day said it about Phillip Daniels. He plays to the edge. You love that as a coach until it goes over. But that, you just talk to him about that. Say, hey, we love how you play. Don't change anything except for just change this a little bit. But it is going to be interesting to see how his emotions are in check against his former team, and certainly he's going to want to show out, but he does anyway. Like, I don't think he's going to really be any different against Minnesota than he was against Texas, because he's here trying to prove himself to everybody, and I think he already believes he's proved himself to his former team.
Well, and I think he's proved himself to his current team too, because he was someone who we went through the whole season saying, well, he's probably going to be a year of development away from starting, and then in the middle of fall camp, it was like, oh no, he's just going to be the guy at right tackle, and there has not been a lot of question or drama or uncertainty around that since that moment. I do like the go right to the edge, but no further. It's like going to the Grand Canyon. Like, man, you look over the edge and it's like, wow, what an amazing thing. And you go a little further and it's like, hey, the Wile E. Coyote thing. You look down and it's like, uh-oh, this is help. Hold up the yike sign. Yes. One thing that has had them saying yikes is the red zone offense and some of the struggles there. But Ryan Day was asked sort of, about like looking at the defense and maybe sort of leaning on the defense, and does that maybe make some of the offensive stuff less of a yikes? And this was his every week there's one where everyone just kind of laughs in the room, and this was that one.
Yeah, go ahead and give the exact quote if you have it.
I don't have it,
because it was just like, I'm not happy with, I'm constantly worried about everything, especially the offense. Just, you're not, as an offensive coach, certainly he's not okay with an inadequate offense. Don't worry, the defense will clean it up. That's not something that he wants to have happen for him. So, they want to get that better. It is nice to be able to get your young quarterback situated and get your young running backs situated. Because even we talk about Bo Jackson, he said the same thing with James Peoples. When they're doing this, when they're out there playing, it's for the first time. They're going through things for the first time, both of those guys together. C.J. Donaldson has done it before, but not here. So this is all a learning experience. But yeah, you don't want to over-rely on the defense because he is known for his offenses. And when we talk about unselfish play calling from Brian Hartline, it's pretty unselfish for Ryan Day to, I've come to Ohio State, we're going to score 45 points every single year, every single game. That's what they've done. And now it's like 32 points is going to have to do it because we've got a long season. Well,
and one of the things that sort of plays into the 32 points is the fact that things are different. Like, this is not, when he came to Ohio State, you were getting 6-7 drives and a half. Now, Saturday, before they kind of run the clock out drive at the end, they got 6 drives, period, in the game. 3 drives in the first half, 3 drives before, kind of run it out time in the second half. That's very different. That is it's like the opposite of going to, well, I guess it's the same as going to a baseball game, except the opposite in the fact that it's good because you're not sitting there forever. Mm-hmm. This is, boy, you'd go, the first time you went to a baseball game after the pitch clock started, it was like, how are we already in the 7th inning? It should be like the middle of the 4th. It was kind of the same sensation against Washington, where it was just like, how is it already 3 minutes before halftime? It feels like the second quarter should just have started. But that's just sort of adjusting to that, adjusting to the clock rules, adjusting to the pace of play. Everything that's something they've really had to deal with. Well,
and we talked about this on Buckeye Huddle Primetime last Monday night with Juck, that they had 3 possessions in the first half. Mm-hmm. I went back and looked, nobody can recall a time when they only had 3. They had 4 in the first half against Minnesota in 2021, which was also a 2-hour and 55-minute game, just like this one. And they had 4, I believe, against Army in 2017. And other than that, they averaged just under 7 possessions in the first half in 2018. They had 10 or 12 games in 2018 where they had they had 7 possessions in the first half. Wildly different game now. And I remember in 2023, after the season opener against Indiana, in the postgame, asking Ryan Day, Ryan, you only had 9 possessions. He's like, I don't know what we're going to do. With having so few possessions, the game is completely different now with this new first down rule. And now it's like, they're averaging, I think, 10 right now, or just under 10, and it's the norm, and now you just accept it. And they were 3 possessions under that, counting the one where they're just running the clock out. Yeah, it has definitely been a real adjustment, I think, in terms of looking at individual player stats, in terms of looking at scores, in terms of, rotations, all that kind of stuff. He was asked about, rotating 3 running backs, and rotating 3 running backs when you're getting 65 snaps on offense is real different than rotating them when you're getting 50 snaps on offense. There's just all that stuff. It changes the calculus on all that. It changes the calculus on some 4th down decisions, probably. Yeah, all of that. And boy, we watched Penn State and Oregon, and there's a lot of 4th downs in that one. When you're trying to maximize your possessions, you don't want to give it up. You don't want to give the ball back because you only have so many more possessions, and that's a Oregon program that will run up tempo. But at Ohio State, it makes you think, let's pick up this 4th down because we have so few possessions. It is better to end with 7 clearly, or keep them trapped than just end with 3. And so it's interesting to watch them go through this by choice. They are slowing things down by choice. They're huddling, the long season, all of that. But then you also have to keep players happy, and I know it's not our job to keep players happy. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And trying to find ways to get other players into that rotation has been difficult. Yeah, and it is a very different world in terms of the power dynamics between players and coaches than it was a few years ago. With the possessions being as valuable as they are, turnovers absolutely a killer. Brandon Ennis had the fumble on the punt. Ryan Day was asked about, is there maybe another person who might be a better fit there? And he was pretty definitive on that. Yeah, no, he seems very bullish on Brandon Ennis. Talked about how he's had 2 good returns the last 2 weeks. Clearly, you can't have the fumble. You can't turn the ball over. but has been very adamant that, like, I think coaches, all coaches love players like Brandon Ennis because of the energy and the effort that you can always count on that. It's always going to be there. So you're always going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then when they make a mistake, it's like, well, that happens to everybody. You're still doing well in these other areas. And again, he's doing well in returns. And the way Ryan Day talks about it seems like he's expecting more. He's expecting, don't be surprised if like Brandon Ennis is building towards breaking one all the way, because he's had a couple of good returns, like he said. So you want to keep that momentum going. Certainly Ryan Day does, because there's no intent on removing it. Now you still may see a Jeremiah Smith, a Caleb Downs here or there just because, but that's still Brandon Ennis' job.
And we talked about how fast these games are moving. Season's moving pretty quickly too. 4 regular season games down, which means we are 1/3 of the way through the regular season. Ryan Day was asked, okay, you're 1/3 of the way through the regular season. What have you learned about your team?
Yeah, they're mature, and he talked about that the young guys, or the guys that, not even just the young guys, but the inexperienced guys, the guys who haven't played, have been able to step up into situations and be veteran, as he likes to say. And they've handled the jobs that they've been given. And so he's really liked the maturity. And that's the one thing he's like, you never really know how good, who you're going to be, all of these things. But what he is seeing, what he is convinced about now, is this is a very mature team. And Tom, you can do a lot of things with a mature team.
Yeah, for sure. You get guys who sort of know what they're doing and know how to handle things, and have the experience. That makes a big difference. You don't need to teach the basics. You don't need to hold people's hand to walk them through it. You can just slap them on the back and say, go get them.
Go get him, Tiger.
Go get him, Tiger. Yes, as Urban Meyer said to Ryan Day when he took the job. So there you go. There is a quick wrap-up of what we heard from Ryan Day on Tuesday afternoon at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Make sure you also check out the video Tony and I did with our rewatch of the Ohio State-Washington game. Had some interesting takeaways from that and the Buckeyes' 24-6 win. We're also planning to do no Michigan game this week, so instead of a Michigan Monday, we're doing a Penn State Wednesday or so. The Penn State-Oregon game rewatch there. Going to be some plenty of interesting takeaways from that one as well.
Franklin Fun Day.
It was not a fun day. I'm not sure if you've gotten to the end of the game in the rewatch. It was not a fun day when all was said and done for Penn State. But yeah, between Oregon and Penn State, two teams that I'm guessing Ohio State will play at least once, maybe between those two, I'm going to guess 3 games at some point this season. So we'll be talking about that, and also have a preview of the Minnesota Golden Gophers and their game against Rutgers. Lot to hear, a lot to talk about this week, and of course the usual Ross Fulton shows coming up as well. Lots coming up this week at BuckeyeHuddle.com and at YouTube.com/Buckeye Huddle. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.